rather than a poet writing about maybe the tree and the leaves in the backyard, which is all right too. He wrote about that too, and he wrote poems about moonlight and nature. And my mother said, for some reason, he always got the right birds in the right season with the right names. She never knew quite why he did it, because he was not a student of birds the way people are nowadays, but always had the right flowers together and the right planets in the heavens in his poems. But he's known as a poet of the people.
There are people so near nothing they are everywhere without being seen. There are people so eager to be seen they nearly always manage to be seen. There are people who want to be everywhere at once, and they seem to get nowhere. There are people who have never been anywhere, and they are less anxious about it than those who have been everywhere. Could it be there are people so near to nothing, they might be so humble as to say, we go everywhere without being seen, and it comes right easy on us. Could it be there are people who have never been seen anywhere, and they ask people who have been seen everywhere, how does it feel to be seen everywhere?
So it was a good thing that he was many things. And then he was, of course, a biographer, famous biographer of Lincoln.
Well, of course, that's one of the really fine works of literature that have come, that we've experienced in the 20th century.
And when the critics reviewed his first two-volume work on Lincoln, which was The Prairie Years, they called it a book of poetry.
And, of course, we know that while you were all living out at Chickaming, Carl Sandburg was working on that second Lincoln biography, Abraham Lincoln, The Warriors, which took, I think it took almost a dozen years to write, 12 years. Of course, it was for that Lincoln biography that he received the Pulitzer Prize in 1940 for history.
Shovels, broad iron shovels, scooping out oblong vaults, loosening turf and leveling sod. I ask you to witness. The shovel is brother to the gun. Among the guns and saddles and muzzles, dreams go on. Out of the dead on their backs, broken and no use anymore. Dreams of the way in the end go on.
You know, my father was a strong man, and some people think that perhaps he was cross with his family or whatever, but he worked at night, sometimes till 4 o'clock in the morning, when everything was very, very quiet and the rest of the household was still. So he had to get to sleep in the daytime. And I can remember in my childhood, the pounding on the floor and him shouting, "Pipe down," and which is, if one understands him, he was cross at it. And I don't like it when people say he was very nice, he did that in a gentle way. He didn't. He did it because he wanted you to be still, And we also knew from my mother, who had told us all our lives, that he was a genius. And we accepted this very easily because it came from within the household. And he believed in himself, too. He had this sense of destiny about him. And so we respected his work completely, and I think that was an important element.
Well, that's fine. Now, while he was working out there
yes.
at Chickaming, I understand that there was another activity taking place. Something about goats?
Yes, well, this was at the hour when he would be going to sleep, say, at 4 o'clock, right? Then I was getting up to milk the goats.
Because
we had, now these are milking goats. These are not alley goats or anything. My mother decided on the breeding, and we sold them. These are purebred goats, and then we ran a dairy later on also. But would you like to see some of the trophies?
You mean you have goat trophies?
A few.
I'd love to see them.
Ancient ones, but very nice.
I'd love to.
Come on.
I'm coming.
Well, these are the mementos I was telling you about of the goats.
Yeah.
Just little things, This is Felicia of Chickaming, one of our first goats.
Oh, she's cute.
That's her record underneath. And then this is the Ridgemore Cup for the best trio, Sandburg trio, Doe, Yearling, and Kid, 1941.
Oh, look, I see here The World of Carl Sandburg.
Yeah.
That was quite a stage production. Back, let's
Yeah.
see, 1959, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that starred Betty
It's
Davis
beautifully
and
done.
her actor
Gary
husband,
Merrill.
Gary Merrill. Yeah, I didn't see it myself, but I've certainly read a lot of it.
Oh, it's
I
nice.
understand it features bits and pieces of Carl Sandburg's writings and songs over
Right.
the years.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes, that was quite a production. You know, talking about 1959, well, that's the same year that your father addressed the joint session of Congress. And I
Right,
understand he was
that's
the
right.
he was the second person, the second private citizen in the history of our nation that
Right.
ever did that.
That was also the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's
Yes,
birth.
yes, I guess that's why that was one of the main reasons why he did it, right?
Yeah. It was quite an honor. He was terribly moved and excited to be asked to do this. These are the mementos I was telling you about. I mean, here are Buckeyes. Now, who do you know has ever collected Buckeyes?
How neat.
It's wonderful. And cigar cases. Oh, and here's a pipe. One of these pipes.
He smoked that.
Pipe. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the kind of a thing that kind of makes me remember him.
Yes. I noticed a guitar hanging on the wall here.
Yeah.
Was that one of the ones he played?
This is a Gibson steel string, and want to hold it?
Yeah.
Was
Well, of course, it was his
his
trademark.
Guitar. Oh, sure, this is his guitar, his trademark.
Helga Sandburg was fun to be with, and you know, it was fascinating to be able to talk about a famous person like Carl Sandburg with his very own daughter, someone who had been able to share his world while growing up. You know, you just don't get that sort of thing out of a book. The writings of Carl Sandburg tell of the many different things he saw in this world without pulling any punches. He was kind of like the voice of America, a poet of the people, a painter with words that spoke of life and its strengths, its weaknesses, its truth, beauty, and its purpose. Carl Sandburg's will is written forever in the fields, in the cities, in the face and heart of the land he loved, and in the people he inspired. And you know, even though he was pretty much of a genius in the things he did, Carl Sandburg was still a very simple, down-to-earth kind of person.
What I need mainly is three things in life, possibly four. To be out of jail, to eat regular, to get what I write printed, and then a little love at home and a little outside. Those four things, and I don't need to be called either poet, historian, biographer, guitar player, folk singer, minne singer, and what there was one novelist.